What's up, guys? Connor O'Hanlon here for another episode of the Greater Society podcast. And today I am coming at you pre recorded because our normal live show was postponed because of my day job. So, for those of you that may be seeing this on YouTube, I may look disheveled, I may look tired. That's because this is 5:30 in the morning when I'm recording this. For those of you who just normally listen, it'll probably be about the same. It'll probably be about the same. So don't worry too much. I will be all right. The tax deadline approaches, and we'll be done and through it soon enough. But today we're going to be talking about the Tennessee Three, specifically, of course, the two young black legislators from Tennessee that were, expelled from the legislature in Tennessee, and now the subsequent reaction and reinstatement of those state legislators. Then we're going to talk about Clarence Thomas and the corruption piece that came out about him in ProPublica last week. Then we're gonna do which again I think I may have said this a while back. I'm gonna do a blind reaction. I saw a video that just looked like it was gonna be stupid or crazy because Charlie Kirk was tweeting it out, and it was about Legos. So we're gonna do a blind reaction to that, and then last but not least, we're gonna talk about friend of the show and former guest Ashley Ehasz announcing her congressional campaign for the 2024 cycle. Hopefully, we can get her back on to have a more robust interview. I know last year when we interviewed her, it was a pre-record, so I would love to have a live interview where you guys can all ask her questions. I think that would be awesome. But with all that being said, the biggest thing that we're going to talk about today is the two Justins from Tennessee that got voted out by the Republican Party after holding the. So, rewind, right? We all remember 2 weeks ago when there was the shooting in Nashville. We talked about it on the show. The right wing has politicized it more since then, claiming that the left doesn't care about the kids being killed for some reason, which is absurd because that's what these protests are about. They're trying to say that they're protecting, that like they here is a broad term too, but protecting, trans people, because of course that's where the right went with this. If an illegal immigrant committed a crime, then they say, oh, you have to deport them all, and instead of just saying, most undocumented immigrants don't commit crimes, actually they have a lower statistical crime rate than natural born citizens, etc. Right? They just try to otherize and target things that are based on identity rather than engaging with, okay, well, what's the common denominator of all of these shootings, which is access to guns? Whether it's a straight white male, which is the majority of them, a straight white male under the age of 30 or 25 even, which again, there was another shooting this week, which none of the right wing is talking about, but that is, of course, another young white dude. So this disconnect, of course, just continues and continues and percolates in the system. But what happened in Tennessee was that these three lawmakers were protesting the lack of any gun reform or gun control basically being implemented in Tennessee following the shooting. And they went to the Capitol and they were loud and they had a bullhorn and they were sitting there and all these other other activists were there, etc. Right? So in Tennessee, you have a rule, an archaic rule that goes way back, of course, to, you know, Civil War era, of course, because why not? And it allows for a 2/3 majority to expel any, um, any sitting legislator in the legislature, basically in the state house. So all three, so two of them were young black progressives, and then one was a uh, white woman. And believe it or not, the two young black legislators were singled out in the expulsion vote, and they were removed. So after being elected in their district by the voters, Republicans, not from their district, from other districts, decided, no, what you did is out of line by protesting for gun control, so we're going to remove you. But we're not going to remove this white woman. So when we talk about identity politics and understanding, this is deep rooted. This is so ingrained into some of these systems that it doesn't even they don't even pick up on the, oh, we're doing a racist. like there's no even way to even put it without sounding ridiculous. It's like they are explicitly singling out these two young black men. And both of them are named Justin, so that it gets when I show these clips, if I swap them around, then you'll have to forgive me. But here is Justin Jones, who represents Nashville, or he did, and then this vote happened. But this is him talking about the lack of removal for people that have done way worse things. He's just taking a little drink first, and then he will start talking.
Let's talk about expulsion. For years, one of your colleagues who was an admitted child molester sat in this chamber. No expulsion. One member sits in this chamber who was found guilty of domestic violence. No expulsion. We had a former speaker sit in this chamber who is now under federal investigation. No expulsion. We have a member still under federal investigation. No expulsion. We had a member pee in another member's chair in this chamber. No expulsion. In fact, they're in leadership, but in the governor's administration. And so once again, what you're saying to us, since you're trying to put us on trial, I'll say what you're really putting on trial is the state of Tennessee. What you're really showing for the world is holding up a mirror to a state that is going back to some dark, dark roots. A state in which the Ku Klux Klan was founded is now attempting another power grab by silencing the two youngest black representatives and one of the only women, Democratic women in this body. That's what this is about. Let us be real today.
There you have it. That is Justin Jones momentarily before his expulsion vote. Now we go to subsequent to the vote, of course. This clip's gonna be loud because there are protests in the back. But this clip, I And I find this is Justin Pearson, okay? So I find Justin Pearson's oratory skills to be impeccable, inspirational. Both of them are very, inspirational, like presenters, speakers, public speakers. Obviously, I mean, they're state legislators, but not every state, trust me, not every state legislator or even state senator or even congressman is a good public speaker. But these guys have like this oratory skill. But Justin Pearson specifically is like next level, I feel like. This clip literally looks like it's from the 1960s. I don't know what like camera these people are using, and but this is from MSNBC, but it looks like it's from like recording of like Fred Hampton. But so here he is. There are protests because they have been they're either in this clip, they're either about to be voted out or they're in the middle of being voted out, basically. But there's all these protests going on, and they are going to Justin Pearson for comment.
Justin Pearson speaking right now. Let's hear what he has to say.
In order that the National Rifle Association and all of these gun lobbyists continue to be able to have control over our legislation. What's going through my mind right now is we need to fight for democracy in the state of Tennessee, and we need people not only just to vote, but people to show up and speak out so that we can end the gun violence epidemic that's happening in our state. This is wrong, this is unjust, and this is not the way that it has to be. There is a better way for us to live, and we don't have to live this way. But the Republican Party of the state of Tennessee want to keep things the same. If you want to fight to change it, if you want to help to make this place a better place, you have to use your voice, you have to use your power, and yes, sometimes you've got to get expelled.
Sir, sends you back. Are you going to take
I'm coming back because this institution has to change.
So the question is like, when are you coming back? Are they going to send you back? So I'll just tell this now, take a break from the loud clip, but the clip is important. What happens apparently in this situation is that it goes back to the local officials in which you were elected. So for Justin Jones, he was elected in Nashville, and I believe he was elected in Nashville, and Justin Pearson was elected in, oh, I should know this. It wasn't Chattanooga. I was in Chattanooga for work. It was basically Memphis, I think. It's Memphis. So, I mean, I might have switched them around, but I believe that's where the two of them are representatives from. So what happens then is like the local government officials basically have to reinstate somebody. So it doesn't go back to another vote. It just says like, yep, nope, you're going back in. And which I suppose isn't the worst mechanism, but it's kind of crazy that this is how our government and our democracy is being eroded right now.
That are happening here must change, and I'll continue to fight, and my family will continue to fight to make it the place that it ought to be, and not the place that it is now.
And for those listening, there's people doing sit-ins, there's people like laying on the ground, there's people doing peaceful protests, which again, the disingenuousness of the right wing now calls these things insurrections. These are not insurrections. The storming of the Capitol on January 6th was a violent attempted overthrowing coup of the government, whereas protests, silent protests, or just regular peaceful protests being disruptive, those things are allowed in the state legislatures, even in the Capitol at times, when they are basically coordinated with the police. Now, when you storm the Capitol and you're trying to hang Mike Pence and you're trying to, get to Nancy Pelosi and you're trying to get to AOC and you're trying to stop the duly elected president from being sworn in, that is an insurrection. This is a protest, okay? There is no comparison, and the disingenuousness of the right wing continues on these issues like this.
What do you have to say to people in Memphis who came so far to
To everybody in Memphis and Millington and District 86, I love you, I thank you, and thank you for believing that changing and fighting to change the status quo is the right thing to do. We knew we were going to keep our principles and our values. We knew that we were going to have our ancestors with us. We knew that we were not going to yield to injustice, and we will not yield because there's too much at stake. We see gun violence every single day. We have too many loved ones that we're putting in the ground, and these folks up here treat things like it's business as usual. It is not business as usual. Our lives are at stake, and we're going to fight for our lives just like they're fighting for the NRA.
Sir!
So there you have it, and this clip goes on, but that is the crux of it. They're going to fight for the people. They're going to fight for change. They're going to fight to protect the kids. They're going to fight to make sure that, they're addressing violence in the community. They're taking legit action and not just saying, oh, we're going to send our thoughts and prayers to this issue. And look, this is this type of thing where these guys are religious. They talk about their religion. This is why I always say this stuff. There's a huge contingent of leftists, center left, liberal, whatever you want to call them, people that are religious, that do practice. These guys are Christians, and they can say we're gonna think and we're gonna pray for the families of the victims, but we should take action because action speaks louder than words. And I don't know why we have to just say, yep, I'm thinking of you and I'm praying for you. That's it. I know we don't do that, but the absurdity of it continuously happening. And then I like to highlight it just before we move on because these guys are religious. They are following in the footsteps of preachers like MLK. MLK famously leading protests in Tennessee. Memphis specifically. So these Republicans vote to expel these two. And what happens then is it goes to the local officials. And here is Justin Pearson. I'm not going to show, too many more, but this is him in Memphis before the, I believe, city council, or it might be the county council, or the county commissioners, whatever it is. This is him having his basically his appeal.
A promise that they're holding on to with this status quo. Yeah. You see, their allegiance is to the way that things are. Yeah. Their allegiance is to business as usual. Their allegiance is to the National Rifle Association. Their allegiance is to the Tennessee Firearms Association. But when we went to the well of the House, myself, Representative Johnson, and Representative Jones, what we did was say we have an allegiance to a people. Yeah. People who are tired of business as usual. Yeah. People who are tired of same old politics. Yeah. People who are tired of same old politicians. We have an allegiance to who are willing to march for justice. Yeah. To fight for justice. Yeah. To vote for justice. Yeah. That spirit which I will head back to Nashville with. Yeah. What we have shown here in Shelby County. What we have shown here in Memphis, Tennessee. With my fiance, my brothers, my family, my parents, and my family here. Is that we do not speak alone. Yeah. We speak together. Yeah. We fight together. Yeah. And so the message for all the people in Nashville who decided to expel us. You can't expel hope. Yeah. Come on, boy. Expel our voice. Yeah. And you sure can't expel our fight. Yeah. We look forward to continuing to fight. Yeah. Continuing to advocate. Yeah. Justice rolls down like water. Yeah. Like an ever-flowing stream. Yeah. Let's get back to work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't get you hype, I don't know what will. I mean, that's getting me excited, and it's very early in the morning, and I'm very pumped by that. Um, so it ends up, of course, being I think it was yesterday, the 12th, that both of them have been reinstated. Sorry, as it starts to play again, that both Justins have been reinstated, and they are going back to Nashville, as he said. I don't know what the procedure is now. Like, can they be expelled again? Have another expulsion vote? I don't know. Like, this is something that I haven't seen before. This is new to me, but it's not new to Tennessee politics and American politics. Here we have a article by a friend of the show and former guest, and maybe I'll get him on again to discuss some more of this, is from Rotimi Adeoye, who, of course, me and Timmy went to school together. But he wrote a piece for the Daily Beast, which I thought was interesting to highlight, and I'm going to make sure that you guys have access to it in the description of this video. But he wrote a piece about how I already had it lined up, but oh no, it's gone now. But I cannot, unfortunately, scroll on it. But I had it there. Well, I'll give you the summation. In the past, there was a number of different expulsions in the South, and these came in the Reconstruction era, or the leading up into the Civil War. And I think you guys should check out this piece, and talking about there have been a number of other expulsions, but what's important is that it's egregious, but it's not unheard of. It is part of this history, and I've seen it a few times now where the reaction to these expulsions has a number of people, including Rotimi and me, looking at things and saying, "Hey, look, you can argue." So the first Reconstruction era is the era following the Civil War, of course, cut short by the Democrats at the time, but remember that the Democrats weren't the Democrats of today. It was, Andrew Johnson and those type of Democrats. But the Republicans at the time, the radical Republicans, the Frederick Douglass style, as Timmy points out in his article, Republicans were the, socially liberal ones. They were the radical Republicans that, were basically the leftists of the day. The Reconstruction era, of course, was trying to rebuild the South, reorganize things, basically create, systems of inclusion and power and these dynamic shifts in America. And that got cut short following, of course, obviously the Civil War ends basically after, the assassination of Lincoln, but or right around the same time. My brain's not working this morning as it probably should, but once the assassination of Lincoln happens, you have Andrew Johnson come in, who was of the opposite party of Lincoln, and this whole dynamic shifts things. And these state legislatures were basically empowered to continue trying to push the line, and this is where you get Jim Crow in the response to the Reconstruction era, because that Reconstruction era basically crashes over time. It was the Reconstruction era, it has some of the greatest stuff moving progress forward, and I believe, if I am accurate with my history, we would consider that the second Reconstruction era being the time nearing the Civil Rights era. And then people are highlighting this, and I say people like I'm Donald Trump. People are saying that Right now, we are living in the third Reconstruction era. But that is basically the crux of some of what Rotimi wrote and what is being highlighted in recent media around these votes and this reinstatement and all this stuff. Here, oh, I almost had I thought I had the article back, but I don't. So basically, go check out the article. It'll be linked in the description below. That will give you a little bit more of the history, the specifics behind that. With all that, let us go to an article that I can load, and that is ProPublica. Three writers: Joshua Kaplan, Justin Elliott, and Alex Mirjeski, talking about Clarence Thomas and his corruption, basically. And just so we're all on the same page, Clarence Thomas, his wife, Ginny Thomas, is a pretty far right, if I'm being generous. Activist, again, if I'm being generous, who has pushed and supported fraudulent election claims, has pushed and supported the overturning of the 2020 election, etc., etc., etc. With no evidence, of course. And Clarence Thomas has been on the Supreme Court and has not recused himself from any of these types of cases around election denialism, hasn't recused himself around anything around any sort of complicating factor around his conflicts of interest. And here you see him in this picture, if I can zoom in properly enough. You see him with his wife Ginny here, and a man back here named Harlan Crow. In this picture is taken in Indonesia. Now, the one thing, as I'm wearing my Tax the Rich shirt, the one thing that makes Harlan Crow, well, not the only thing, but the one thing that makes him unique is that Harlan Crow is a billionaire. And he's hanging out with Clarence Thomas, maybe because they're just friends, maybe. But he's paying for all of Clarence Thomas's expenses, according to this article. He is paying for, collector memorabilia. He is buying him all these different gifts. He is sending him on trips. But, sending him on yachts. I think he may have bought him a yacht. Yeah, who owned the jet and the yacht. So I'll read this, okay? In late June 2019, right after the Supreme Court released its final opinion on the term, Justice Clarence Thomas boarded a large private jet headed to Indonesia. He and his wife were going on vacation, 9 days of island hopping in a volcanic archipelago on a super yacht staffed by a cadre. Cadre? I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know how to say that word. Wow. My brain is not working. Of attendants and a private chef. If Thomas had chartered the plane and the 162-foot yacht himself, the total cost of the trip would have exceeded $500,000. Fortunately for him, that wasn't necessary. He was on vacation with the real estate magnate and Republican megadonor Harlan Crow, who owned the jet and the yacht too. For more than 2 decades, Thomas has accepted luxury trips virtually every year from the Dallas businessmen who, without disclosing them, documents and interviews show. A public servant who has a salary of $285,000, he has vacationed on Crow's super yacht around the globe. He flies on Crow's Bombardier Global 5000 jet. He has gone with Crow to the Bohemian Grove, the exclusive California all-male retreat, and to Crow's sprawling ranch in East Texas. And Thomas typically spends about a week every summer at Crow's private resort in Adirondacks. Okay, Adirondacks. Got it. You guys can forgive me that I'm short circuiting here. So you can read the piece again. This will also be linked in the description below. But the crux of this is that this is a Supreme Court justice taking basically, if we are being not so loose with our words, gifts and trips, if we're being looser with our words, bribes to, be friends with, I guess. So here's the thing, right? This is the defense that they've put out. What? Clarence Thomas can't have friends? He can't be friends with Harlan Crow even just because he's a billionaire? Well, no, he could be friends with him. But without disclosing the fact that he is taking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in value, basically, from this guy year after year, is a conflict of interest and is a blatant corruption scandal. And he, as has been called for, should be impeached or should resign from the Supreme Court after not disclosing this, after all of the other different scandals that has happened, after his wife has been supporting the overturning of our democracy. The Supreme Court is going through an institutional struggle of legitimacy right now. And to fix it, things have to change sooner rather than later. We can't just keep letting things be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. He's fine. He's not doing anything wrong. They're allowed to do this. Yeah, they might be allowed to do it, actually. I mean, this is the sick part of this. Because who decides who can and can't do things, what makes them constitutional and what's not constitutional? You got it right. The Supreme Court of the United States. So, one of the men that is, arguably one of the most powerful people in the country. It's not even arguable. They are the most powerful people in the country, specifically in the 6-3 majority right now. These justices are handpicked to basically fulfill the will of these donors and to do the bidding of these donors and to rule in favor of the pro-corporate, pro-billionaire interests over and over again. Or, for a less cynical take, they're put in these positions because they already believe that stuff. And that is the chicken or the egg here, but it is undeniable. That is why they're put into these federal judgeships, and then they get raised to the Supreme Court. Like the pipeline of the Heritage Foundation has existed. So AOC and a number of other Democratic Congresspeople have requested, putting it nicely, that articles of impeachment be drawn up for Clarence Thomas. Now, nothing has happened yet. We will see. And as the story unfolds, we will keep you updated, of course. With that, let's do our blind reaction here. Here we have a video that was tweeted out by Charlie Kirk, which the tweet reads out, because I don't want to show his crap, but the tweet reads out, watch. This father confronts Lego for promoting LGBTQ agenda to children, then gets thrown out of the store by security. Why is Lego doing this when its products are designed for children? So let's take a blind look. I haven't watched the video. I have no idea what happens in this. I'm curious, but you see here, I'm assuming this is what he is complaining about. So here we go. Again, blind reaction. If you guys enjoy watching these blind reactions and seeing how to develop a take on the fly, especially with your brain cooked, this is I enjoy doing this because it's better than watching a clip 1,000 times and then being like, oh yeah, I forgot to say that. So, you know, this is these are always interesting to me. So let's see what this is about.
The Lego group supports what?
The Lego Group 25 supports the LGBTQ community. Do we want?
So it says, the worker says the LGBT group 25 supports the the Lego group 25 supports the LGBTQ community. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. But the question is,
And then they say, yeah, of course.
why are you all in here with those pins on? Do you think children care about what man sucks at home and what girl eats vaginas at home?
So this is ridiculous that this guy is coming into a Lego store, mad, triggered, super triggered, obviously. Conservative triggered, wow, big surprise. Triggered by pins on a Lego, which, by the way, the inclusive pride flag, the one with the triangle on it. So for those listening, I forget the exact name, but the one with the inclusion for trans folks, that is what the pin they're wearing. But like, honestly, that kind of like looks like a Lego, like kind of ancillary piece. It doesn't like stand out on the guy's yellow apron. It's not really, I can't to single that out. They're wearing other pins too, but like to single that out, it's like, dude, you are triggered. You are a snowflake.
Do you think they care about
It's
that?
time to leave, man.
So he's asking him, do you think they care about that? The worker saying it's time to leave, because of course this guy is freaking out and talking about, you know, sexual acts in a child store out loud, of course, because he's upset that they're wearing a pin, but he is okay with, you know, shouting about sexual acts and, you know, what they're called, doing them in a child store. That's fine.
Do you think they
I
care?
don't think they think about that personally.
Right. So why would they think about it when they see your
No, they
pin?
don't. It's time to leave.
Yes, they do.
time to
It's
leave, guys. I'm gonna
disgusting.
call security.
That's called grooming.
All right. If y'all mind leaving.
Yeah. If you call security, tell security that
Absolutely.
you're
So this poor worker, dude, you can tell that he's very uncomfortable. I don't know if this dude's like big that's holding the camera. I don't know, but like the aggressiveness and the way that people are recording people nowadays and coming at a worker basically for his job, like that's what he's doing for wearing a pin, which I'm sure that the company and the store probably lets them do and probably encourages them to do, because guess what? You know who you can sell Legos to? Not just children, but adults. Not just adults, but teenagers. Not just teenagers, but middle-aged people. Not just middle-aged people, but even old people. Everybody loves Legos. I don't have a pile of Legos over here, but I know, even a friend of mine sent me this picture of this like Lord of the Rings gigantic Lego thing that he got, and it's like, dude, it's just like a toy. It's just building. It's just something to pass the time. But you know why? Well, first of all, the company is not American-based, but you know why they would let somebody wear a pride pin like that? It is to say that we welcome people here, no matter their sexual orientation or gender. And the cynical take is, and this goes to this kid basically. I don't know how old he is, but he's not doing this, right? But the cynical take of corporate wokeism, putting that in quotes, is they do it because they sell their products and services to more people when they're inclusive. That's the crux of it. That's why corporations are woke. If I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, right? And because this kid's not doing that. This guy is just wearing a pride pin because he is probably okay with being around gay people. I don't know, I don't know this guy's orientation. I don't know anything about him, right? But it's at least saying that people are welcome here. You can feel comfortable. I would probably go out on a limb and say that most people that buy Legos aren't triggered by this pin existing. But he's going to try to get security.
In here wearing a pride flag on your shirt.
Come on, guys, it's time to leave.
You know what's amazing? Most children don't know. He's been educated by me. I think it's grooming. It's borderline pedophilia and child abuse for these weirdos to come in here and wear that, and at the same time, kids buy from the store. When does it stop? I'm sick and tired. You don't have to shop. Huh?
Yeah, the cop with the hottest take, the security guard with the hottest take. You don't have to shop here. You do not have to shop here. If you don't like it, as Matt Walsh and Co. and Kid Rock saying F Bud Light, making horrible songs because Bud Light put a pride flag on it or whatever stupid shit that they're claiming. You don't have to shop there. And then, after, of course, when something is successful, like the stock price of Bud Light dropped like $1, $2 over the last couple of days, and it'll go back up. They're like, victory, we've done it. The boycott has worked. But then, of course, when one guy tweets about the Mario movie, and as like, I'm pretty sure it was a joke, by the way, because this is like Sopranos memes level. One guy tweets about how Chris Pratt's not even Italian, and it's not, it's saying it's oh dude, this is anti-woke. The Mario movie's anti-woke, and then they were claiming it was woke before the movie came out, but because now it's a success, they're saying it's anti-woke because Chris Pratt is an Italian. Like, dude, you guys are just snowflakes, and you're making this culture war bullshit up as you go. This is so sad.
Yeah, but I came in here to buy something. When does it stop?
I came in here to buy something. No, you didn't, clearly, because it didn't look like you're buying anything. Go to Target or Walmart then, buddy.
At some point, we need to stop pushing this mess on children.
At this point, we're just going to have to ask you to leave.
I'll leave. Okay. And I won't spend any money at Lego.
Fantastic.
If you're in here right now, in here right now and you care about value, this store is intentional.
It's so funny that just for those just listening, it's just people walking around him. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. That he is. This is like the clown stuff. This is the performative nonsense. Like, dude, even my grandparents don't give a crap about somebody wearing a pride flag, and they're not liberals. I know so many older folks who this is not. I just want to point this out because this is the online radical right. Like, this is the people that don't, engage with people that are any different than them. It's kind of insane to be like, dude, you're grooming children, you're doing this, whatever. No, they're not. Absolutely not. But this is like the fringe elements, but it gets highlighted and is pushed by the mainstream right-wing conservative media because it is what drives their base. Their base believes in this stuff. But the average Republican, well, I shouldn't say the average. A reasonable Republican, and I mean this as I usually do, I don't believe that the reasonable Republicans really exist in Congress or in the Senate, but I believe that reasonable Republican voters exist. They might just have different interests, let's just say taxes or whatever, right? But they are usually okay, even if they're not like gung-ho about supporting the LGBTQ plus community. They're at least usually like, okay, like it doesn't affect me, like libertarian-esque. But this guy and these people like Charlie Kirk get so triggered. Go ahead, boycott Lego, dude. Boycott Lego. See how far it takes you.
promoting LGBTQ behavior on children.
Sir, you're
Spend your money in a place that doesn't do that to kids.
sir, you're about to get trespassed.
Thank you.
That's, I mean, good for the security guard, good for the workers just getting security right away. That's a smart move. If you are ever in a situation like that, just get security. They're on private property. You know, you can say whatever you want, of course, but, you know, you don't have a right to make a ruckus and really try to have your trigger fest in the middle of a storm. So last but not least today, friend of the show. We've talked about many friends of the show today. It's great. It's so great to have reoccurring guests and friends and coming back. And we talked about Rotimi, and today now we're going to talk about quickly, because I have to go to work, unfortunately. Ashley Ehasz is running again against Brian Fitzpatrick. So for those who may be unaware, who are just new to the show, I am from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and I live in the 1st Congressional District, which is, I think, might be at this point the only 2016 Hillary district that was won in 2018 by a Republican, and then subsequently still held by that Republican. At the time, I think in 2018, I believe there was 3 districts in the country, not in just Pennsylvania. Like, that's how narrow we're looking. Now, Brian Fitzpatrick benefits from a number of things here in Bucks County. His brother was the congressman before him, and he has been the congressman since 2016. And in 2022, Ashley Ehasz ran against him. She lost, but put up a valiant effort. The thing is, there are groups, there are people that for the longest time have looked at Pennsylvania's 1st Congressional District and said, we can't beat Brian Fitzpatrick. He's too this, he's too that. We don't want to invest our money there. We've talked about it on the show, but in recent months, the DCCC, Emily's List, I mean, a bunch of other, groups, PACs, all different types of organizations have started to look at Pennsylvania's 1st Congressional District and said, okay, we actually should be paying attention to this district. Now, Ashley announced her campaign last week. I recorded a little video. Go to my Twitter, you can find it. But she has raised over $100,000 since announcing her campaign, which is amazing. But I highlight those or other organizations because the money is a large factor in this race. This is the sad part of politics, and especially for young, just young politicians in general, but specifically Democrats, because there isn't just a $1 billion donor like for Clarence Thomas that's going to say, hey, here, Ashley, here's $500,000. And of course, there are different regulations for running for a federal election, but those rules are, if you have a super PAC, you can do whatever you want, basically. I say this because this congressional seat needs to be won. If we want to have a majority in the House in 2024, after re-electing Biden or whoever the Democratic nominee is, We want to hold on to the Senate. We want to reelect Bob Casey. Bucks County is the key Pennsylvania. It's one of the 3 collar counties that I would consider the key. As a swath there, I guess, if that's the right word. The 3 of them combined are the turning point for the state, and if those counties go blue, most likely the state will go blue. Ashley is a combat veteran. She supports reproductive rights. She supports labor rights. She supports expanding healthcare. Me and her, again, disagree. I support Medicare for all, but she at least wants to push for more inclusive healthcare. Again, this is where as Democrats, we can disagree on these smaller. I mean, it's not a small issue, but we could disagree on the minutiae of how we implement things and still support each other. I donated to Ashley's campaign. I don't donate to campaigns. Like, that's really not my thing. I don't have the money to do it, and also I just don't want to be put on a million lists, but I'm put on the lists anyway. So I donated to Ashley. I think you should too. If you want to help flip this district, the only way we're going to do it is by getting money into her campaign early, because early money, I should make sure I include this in my book, in the one of the chapters, but I think it's already in there. But early money gets more money. When you run a campaign, whether it's for dog catcher or it's for the presidency, the more money you have early, the more money you get throughout the campaign, because it shows that you have legitimate fundraising skills, which is silly, but that is a skill that people need, unfortunately. So Ashley raising $100,000 in a week is astronomical, but she's going to need a lot more. So if you can, go to the link below. I'll put a link in there. Donate to her campaign, and let's flip Pennsylvania's first congressional district in 2024. With all that being said, I will cut it short for you guys today. I had a few other things, but they'll have to wait. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button down below. You can hit the thumbs up button as well to help us get boosted into the algorithm. You can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. And you can support the show on patreon.com/Greater Society Media for as little as $3 a month. Please do so. Thank you to our patrons already. And you can follow the show on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Greater Society Media. And you can follow me on Twitter at Con O'Hanlon. Until next week, everybody. I hope you guys all have a better couple of days than I'm probably about to have as I head into the tax deadline. If you didn't already file your taxes, do so. If you have an accountant and you haven't given them your stuff, you're a bad person. So either that or extend your taxes. Just get it out of the way. So guys, until next week, stay safe. Peace.